Hey fam, what's up? Welcome back. It's been a long time. I think the last time I uploaded a video was in the beginning of February. Um yeah, I think it was the beginning of February. A lot has happened since then. If you follow me on Instagram, you know that I went away. I actually pre-filmed a couple of videos before I went away, and by the time I got around to editing them, they kind of just felt like they were irrelevant, you know. So I never posted them. But if you follow me on Instagram, you'll know that I went to Florida, and I went to Universal and Islands of Adventure, and TJ actually proposed. So we are officially engaged, which is really exciting. We've been together about 6 years. So it's really exciting. But with everything else going on in the world right now, it's kind of like bittersweet, because it's like we have this thing to be super excited about, but there's so much bad going on right now too. Or not bad, but there's so much chaos, I guess, going on right now. So that's where we're at. So I had this idea to start a series called the Weekly Wind Down. Not wind with a D, wine. Basically, I'm going to sit here and just casually chat with you guys, do some makeup. I may play with some new stuff, some old stuff. It depends kind of what I have at the moment, while we sip on a glass of wine. I want this right now to be a time you guys can take for yourselves. Grab a snack, grab a drink, come sit, and we'll just chat about the things that have transpired over the past week. So if you're into that, definitely grab your beverage and keep watching. So I have my eyebrows on. I know I gotta clean them up a little bit. I know this hair is new. This happened right after our trip, which was really exciting. Being engaged is fun. It's really exciting, especially like, I'm gonna bring TJ on my channel one day, but he really is like my best friend. And like, when you find that person, like, there's just no better feeling, I guess. But I don't want to be sappy, and we're not going to get into that right now. So I'm kind of just gonna roll with this. I'm not necessarily gonna talk about everything that I'm trying, but this is just my moisturizer. This is the Ula Hendrickson Sea Rush Brightening Gel Cream Moisturizer, because I am so dry right now. So there's a couple things I want to talk about. I kind of I put up on my Instagram story like that I was going to start this series, and I asked if anybody, if there's anything anyone wanted to talk about. So I did get a couple of requests, so we're going to touch on them. Obviously, the big thing going on in the world right now is the virus, the coronavirus, COVID-19, Wuhan, whatever we're calling it. I think most of the country at this point is kind of either at the point of a stay in place or about to be. So yeah, I put my moisturizer on, and then I've been seeing people set their moisturizer with powder, with just like a tiny bit of powder. And I have to say, I've been doing this the last couple of times I did my makeup, and I do feel like my makeup just looks so much smoother, and it looks so much better longer. So yeah, so we have this virus stuff going on right now. I know for New York, Cuomo, he just issued that all non-essential businesses have to be closed by 8 p.m. I think either tomorrow or Sunday. So that is, a little bit, I don't want to use the word scary. I don't think that's the right word. bothersome. I think definitely the best word to describe everything right now is just that it's bothersome, thought-provoking for sure. Um, and it can be like a really scary time, especially for people with anxiety, or, not everybody has a ton of savings, like for emergencies. So I was asked, someone had said, please talk about anything but the virus. And I get it. I really do. I feel like that's, you put on the TV, that's what people are talking about. You go on Facebook, that's all the posts are about. You go on Instagram, you just see businesses shutting down. And I get it. It's exhausting. But then I did have other people, suggest and ask that I talk about the effect that the virus is having on like the beauty industry. So I do want to touch on that. My friend and fellow artist, my friend Jasmine's super, super talented. I will definitely have her linked below. But she said, we should talk about whether or not our industry is recession proof, and the long-term effects that, this quarantine and stay in place, social distancing, whatever we're calling it, like the long-term effects that it can have on our industry, and, whether or not we're really recession proof. Here's the thing. I don't think any business, any company, any industry is recession proof. I think maybe some industries and some professions and businesses will not be hit as hard as others. But I think that at the end of the day, if people don't have money to spend, they're not spending it. And that's what's happening right now. We have a record high unemployment in the United States, which is terrifying and devastating for a lot of people. So I'm going to go in with my Natasha Denona Love Palette. I haven't played with this yet. So yeah, I don't believe that the beauty community is, I don't believe that the beauty community or beauty industry, I shouldn't even say community, the beauty industry is not recession proof. I do think at this time it's important for us to act like a community. It's important for us to have each other's backs. And when all of this is over and we're all back to work full time, I think Jasmine and I were talking about, it's very important, for us to not lower our prices, stick to our prices, because it'll only cheapen us, cheapen our brand, cheapen our work, our art, and that also, like, we're all, at the end of the day, like, even though it's a big industry, it's a small industry, we know, everybody knows each other. You don't want to lowball your prices because you don't want to steal clients from like fellow people. We're all hurting right now, and we're all going to need to bounce back. So it's important to stick together, act as a team, stand by your prices, stand by like your brand, when you get back to work. And so that was like something that we really thought was important to touch on. Also in terms of like bridal and weddings, obviously here in New York, like every bride that I know, every wedding that was supposed to take place in the next 3 months has been postponed. And my friend and colleague Gretchen, actually, she owns a bridal company here on Long Island called Love Crush Beauty, specializes in bridal hair and makeup. I'm happy to be a part of her team. She's a great mentor. She's a great person. She's a great friend. And definitely somebody that I really look up to in the industry. She wrote a blog post on her website, and I'll definitely link it down below, about how, all of these postponements are going to affect not just 2020 bridal season, but 2021 and 2022, because most of our brides are having to postpone and reschedule for time in 2021. And me being a bride now, we were, hoping to get married in 2021, but we are not comfortable paying a deposit right now on a venue because we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know like when I'll be back to work. So I'll speak for me personally right now. I have no, like all of my clients for the next 3 months have postponed, rescheduled, and understandably so. I get it. It's not something you can really be mad at right now. It kind of just is what it is, and that's why it's important for all of us to stick together right now. So what's happening with all of these couples that are having to reschedule for 2021 is that now, or even ones that are able to reschedule for sometime this year, they're running into the problem where their vendors are now booked for those dates. And that happens, a lot of vendors are booked a year, 2 years in advance. So a lot of them are having to wait towards the end of 2021 and, possibly even 2022, which means new brides are going to have to wait until 2022 or even 2023. So on one hand, it's keeping us working, yes, but also we cannot guarantee that we are going to have the availability on the date that you postponed to. Obviously, I know I can speak for myself. I can speak for a lot of my friends in the industry. We'll always do our best. We're with you from the time you book your trial until you walk down the aisle for the most part. But it's hard. We can't guarantee that we're going to be available. I know I have already had to refer some of my clients to other people who I knew were available on their new date. And it's hard. It's just, this is a time where we really have to all work together, and we have to be supportive of each other and not greedy. And we have to be willing to refer clients to other people, because it's not, as much as it is about us, it's not all about us. At the end of the day, you still want to hold up your reputation as an honorable person and an honorable business person, and refer them to somebody who you trust and is really going to do a great job for them. So that's kind of just where we're at. Everything trickles down. We're not going to bounce back completely. And we don't know how long this is going to last. And I think that's the scary part for a lot of people, is that a lot of people can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, because right now we don't have an end point. So I think it's important to try, to just focus on each day, which is hard for me. I mean, I have really, really bad anxiety. I was talking to my grandma the other day. I've been trying to check on them. And I asked her if this is the craziest thing that she's experienced in her lifetime. And she said yes. She said, there's been other things that we've experienced, 9/11, Hurricane Sandy, Hurricane Irene, and things like that. She was a nurse for a long time, and she even mentioned like the AIDS epidemic. And she said what's different is that this virus affects everybody. It doesn't discriminate. The entire world is affected by this right now. And it's true, like this, there's nowhere to hide from this. We just have to do, the best we can to contain it and, follow directions at this point. And like I said, we need to work together. The only way we're all going to get through this is if we work together, regardless of, what business you're in, what industry you're in right now. It's not a time to turn on each other. It's a time to embrace each other. If your local businesses are still open, order takeout from that deli that you love. Leave a review. That's the best thing you can do for like anyone in the service industry right now. Leave a review. Definitely give a referral. Follow them on social media. But it's a rough time for all businesses right now. There's no one industry that's struggling more than another. I mean, I'm sure there is, but it's just at the end of the day, we're going to see a lot of businesses close. Unemployment is at a record high, and that's scary. It's scary for a lot of people. So the important thing, in my opinion, is to support each other, lift each other up, try to stay positive. And that's all I want to talk about that right now. Another request. Another request I had received was to talk about how to stay busy, keep your mind occupied right now, and not panic. And personally, I think that's a great question. You know, especially for people who have like really bad anxiety or, you know, depression or anything like that. For anyone, I think it's important to definitely try to stay busy. I think it's important to get some fresh air, maybe not necessarily be around a ton of people, but definitely go for a walk, go to the park. You can, you know, for now you can sit on the beach and read a book. You can go on a hike depending on where you live. I know personally I've been trying to walk my dog every day, just get some fresh air. You know, find some books to read. I think that's definitely a great distraction. I think books are a better distraction than TV. But, you know, I do love the occasional movie also. But I also have been reading a lot on like the best things to do for your mind right now. And a lot of people are saying to stick to a routine, you know, like set your alarm, wake up the same time every day, take your shower, get dressed, don't stay in sweatpants all day, walk the dog, drink your coffee, you know, like make small goals for yourself or small like little jobs for you to do around the house. And basically keep yourself on a schedule. Don't fall into a slump. Don't spend all day sitting on the couch. Don't, you know, just sleep all day. Try not to take too many naps. And just stick to some kind of a routine. And I know I've been trying to do that, but it's hard. You know, this situation is something most of us have never experienced before. All of us have never experienced before. And it's definitely has a lot of challenges. But like I keep saying, even though you might be afraid to be around people and it's not recommended to be around that many people, it's not necessarily a time to push people away. I definitely think, you know, break out some old board games, trivia games. You can go online, you can find all different kinds of trivia games. You can find different things to do with your kids, like fun activities that will teach them how to count money and things like that. And now more than ever, I think we're all going to learn how to live in the moment. I think as important as it is to stay informed, I also think that it's important to turn off the news at a certain point and just live. You know, if watching the news is just going to stress you out, which is usually what it does, and I do agree that we have to be informed, but it's important to take a break from it. Meditate. I am a big advocate of meditation. I think it's super helpful. It just, you know, kind of takes you away. I can definitely link some guided meditations that I found on YouTube that are super helpful for, you know, if you're the kind of person that can't just zone out and meditate. Can definitely link some that I think are helpful. There are even apps now for meditation, which I think is great, but that's definitely a great way to, you know, kind of refocus your mind for a little bit. Just try not to get stuck in a rut, basically. I haven't had a sip in a while. You know, you can't sit around the house feeling sorry for yourself or panicking about the situation, because right now, this is what we have to work with. We have to hope for the best, but we also have to be prepared. So I think you got to keep your mind occupied. Cook, look up new recipes. Bake with your kids. That's a good way to count also. Uh, there's a lot of things you can do to try to lessen the mental burden that this is right now. And talk to people. I think this is going to definitely teach people not to take certain things for granted. Like for example, somebody that, let's just say, hates their job and that's all they ever say, and now they're not working. They may be thankful that just to be out of the house, just to be working. I think this is going to teach us to never take time together for granted. Things as simple as a handshake or a hug. We're never going to take these things for granted again. Something as simple as like a trip to the grocery store. All of this stuff changed for us so quick, so drastically. I don't know. I just think it's going to put a lot of things into perspective for a lot of people. I think it's important to, like I said, stay informed, but don't drive yourself crazy watching the news. Take a break from it, turn it off, get outside. Definitely be respectful, of our healthcare workers, firefighters, police officers right now. They are working so hard to make sure that everyone is taken care of, everyone is safe. So just something I forgot to touch on when we were talking about industries being recession proof. Like I said, I don't think the beauty industry is recession proof. I think that it is something people will, typically spend their money on. Even when this is over and we're all back to our normal routines, people may choose to pack their lunch instead of, eating lunch out every day so that they can get their hair done at the end of the month. Why? Because it makes them feel better about themselves, which then makes them feel better about everything else. It's like, feeling good about yourself, getting your hair done, it almost releases like the same kind of endorphins as like when you exercise and you feel better about yourself, which then lifts your whole mood, and then you kind of just feel better about everything in general. So in that case, I think there will always be a need, for hairdressers, makeup artists, estheticians, things like that, because it is, one of the things that people will still gravitate towards, regardless of what kind of financial situation they're in. That's usually one thing that people really try to put in their budget, because it makes them feel good, and everybody deserves to feel good. And at the end of all of this, when we are on our way back to our normal everyday lives, people are going to need a pick-me-up. And so even though things are like basically non-existent right now, I do think that it's going to mean a very busy summer, fall, winter for most people in the industry, whether you're bridal, whether you work in a salon. Because it's something that everyone's going to be missing. No one's going to feel like themselves. Everyone's going to be excited, to see their hairdresser, see how they're doing, get back to looking and feeling more like themselves. And then, like we said, weddings have just been getting postponed and rescheduled and postponed and rescheduled. And so in that sense, I still wouldn't say we're recession proof. Like I said, with unemployment at an all-time high, people may not be able to, afford to keep up with their, you know, self-pampering as much as they normally would. Um, you know, if they were still working, you know, regularly right now, I don't think, you know, we'll come to a complete halt, obviously. You know, all business is going to pick back up. I am anticipating kind of a boom. That's a very glowy blush. This is the Natasha Denona, the Love Glow palette, which this packaging is everything. Can we talk about that? That is probably like my favorite packaging ever. But I'm using this cream one right here. It is very glowy. And I did kind of, like, I tried to set just under my eye so that I could still put this on. And it is going on. It's not really disturbing anything underneath it. Definitely another way to, you know, like, keep your cool during this time is to find something creative that you like to do. Get some, like, I know Amazon is a little delayed, but they're still delivering, but maybe get some, like, adult coloring books. You know, paint, draw, play with makeup. I know I'm definitely going to be filming a lot of videos just playing with makeup for the time being, but just anything that can count, you know, anything that gets your mind off of our current situation is going to be extremely therapeutic right now. And that's, you know, I'm going through this, you know, the same as you guys. That's really the only advice that I have right now. I think it's just important to take things a day at a time. I really think that it's going to put so many things in perspective for people. Like, don't take, you know, don't take anything for granted. You know, maybe you don't necessarily want to go out for a certain holiday, but do it, because you don't know when something like this may happen where you can't. You know, we have to learn to look at the world a little bit differently now. I'm just going to lightly set that. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. It's a really tough situation for all of us. I know so many businesses that are going to be devastated from this. I also think that it's important, you know, to talk to kids about this. You know, in terms that they'll understand, but they also, like, they're confused too. You know, be patient with teenagers, you know, who have a bad attitude right now, especially like high school and college seniors that are losing their proms, their graduations. You know, like, they've worked hard and their life changed a lot, you know, months before they thought it was going to. I think it's important to have patience with each other right now. Try to think as positively as possible. Like I said, definitely, if you can, support local businesses. Even if not monetarily, you can go online, leave a review, recommendation, anything like that. And at the end of the day, we're all in this together. You know, this did not happen to any one particular person or any one particular group of people. It's happening to the entire world. Typically, I would say that this look definitely needs falsies, but since I'm staying home, I don't feel like putting them on. I just put so much mascara on, and really, I probably should have just put on falsies and called it a day, but I really didn't want to. Lips. And highlight. Even though that blush kind of does both, but. So I want to hear your thoughts on everything right now. I want to know, like, what you're doing to stay busy. Also, I don't necessarily want this to be the topic. You know, every week I plan on uploading this either every Friday or Saturday. I just don't want this to be it. I don't want this to be this whole video series. You know, I definitely want some variety. I don't want to talk about this all the time because, like I said, we need an escape. This was my first episode, and this is what a lot of people asked me to talk about. So every Friday morning, I'm going to put on my Instagram story and ask you guys what you want to talk about. And hopefully this can be a little bit of a distraction for everybody. Also, let me know, you know, what kind of other videos you want to see. Let me know. We have time. We've got all the time in the world right now. And I think we are all going to have to learn to live one day at a time. I know that can be frustrating, but there's nothing else we can do right now. You know, we can still talk to people on the phone. It doesn't have to be such an isolating situation. All right, that is it for this look. You guys want me to run through what I used? I can. I feel like my lips look crazy on camera, but they do not look that crazy in person. Natasha Denona Love Palette. This is the first time I used it. I really like it. I like how my eyes came out. It's definitely a very pink and very girly look for me. Definitely not my everyday. This I like. I'm dealing with a little texture because I'm stressed right now. I think as everybody is. So I'm going to have to play with this again. I used the e.l.f. Matte Poreless Putty Primer because I used the Anastasia Hydrating Foundation. P. Louise Makeup Base is a favorite. Mascara, I used 2 because even during a pandemic, I have to be an extra ass bitch. So I used, where'd they go? I used these 2, Maybelline Falsies, L'Oreal Voluminous, Oldies but Goodies, eyeliner, Urban Decay Alkaline, lips are KKW, which one is it? Nude 2.5, and then for my lipstick is actually a custom one that I made at the Bite Lip Lab in Toronto. My highlight too, I used the Love Blush and Glow palette. Overall, I like how my makeup came out. It's a little more glowy than I'd normally go for. It's a little more pink than I'd normally go for, but I don't hate it. All of the products, you know, obviously performed well. And that's it, guys. Let me know what you want to talk about next week. Let me know what you guys are doing, you know, to keep yourselves occupied right now. We could always go live too and play with some makeup. I hope, you know, maybe after this episode, this could be something that can take you away, you know, from the stresses of life. I know I feel a little bit better right now after playing with some makeup. But if you like this kind of video, definitely let me know. Give me a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Oh, also, I will have my friend Gretchen's blog post in the description box. I'll link her Instagram and my friend Jasmine's Instagram. They're both beautiful, talented, humble people, and you should definitely check them out and support them during this time. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.